Maximizing the benefits of caffeine. A guide. Caffeine, the world's most beloved stimulant. It's the thing we reach for first thing in the morning, the thing we crave in the middle of the afternoon, and the thing we turn to when we need to pull an all-nighter. Are you a caffeine lover who can't get through the day without a cup of coffee or a can of soda? Have you ever wondered what effect caffeine has on your brain and body? Well, it's time to meet the man who has all the answers. Dr. Andrew Huberman, PhD, is a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford University School of Medicine, and he's here to tell you everything you need to know about caffeine. Don't be fooled, this isn't your average guide. It's not just about drinking more coffee or popping more caffeine pills. Dr. Huberman's guide is based on cutting-edge research and his own personal experience with caffeine. So what can you expect from this video? For starters, you'll learn how to use caffeine strategically to boost your energy, focus, and mood. Dr. Huberman will teach you the best times to consume caffeine, how much to consume, and what to avoid. He'll also show you how to avoid the dreaded caffeine crash and how to use caffeine to improve your athletic performance. But that's not all. Dr. Huberman's guide also covers the controversial topic of caffeine addiction. Is caffeine really addictive? If so, how do you break the cycle? Dr. Huberman has the answers, and he'll share them with you. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but why should I care about caffeine? Well, let me tell you. Caffeine is one of the most widely consumed substances in the world, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's in our coffee, our tea, our soda, and our energy drinks. But despite its popularity, many people still don't know how to use caffeine to their advantage. Well, that ends today. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and get ready to learn everything you need to know about caffeine from the man himself, Dr. Andrew Huberman. Caffeine is a strong reinforcer. Caffeine is a psychoactive substance that affects the central nervous system by stimulating the brain and increasing alertness. It also increases dopamine and acetylcholine in the forebrain, which improves the ability to think and adjust to mental and physical demands. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is responsible for pleasure, motivation, and reward, while acetylcholine plays a crucial role in learning and memory. Caffeine increases the number of dopamine receptors in the reward pathway of the brain. This means that with continued consumption, you will need more caffeine to achieve the same level of pleasure and reward. Caffeine is therefore highly addictive, and once you start, it becomes hard to stop. The reinforcing effects of caffeine are so strong that people can develop a tolerance to its effects, leading to increased consumption. Caffeine addiction is a common phenomenon, and its withdrawal symptoms, such as headaches and fatigue, can be difficult to overcome. Studies have shown that caffeine consumption can improve physical and mental performance, which is why it is a common ingredient in energy drinks and supplements. Adenosine. Have you ever wondered how caffeine works in your body, especially when it comes to keeping you alert and awake? Well, it turns out that caffeine's primary mechanism of action is by blocking the effects of adenosine. Adenosine is a naturally occurring substance in your body that is responsible for promoting sleep and suppressing arousal. It accumulates in your brain throughout the day and helps to signal to your body when it's time to rest. However, when caffeine is introduced into the mix, it acts as an adenosine antagonist, locking its effects and promoting wakefulness. This is why many people turn to a cup of coffee first thing in the morning to help kickstart their day and stave off sleepiness. When adenosine levels are high in your body, you feel tired and lethargic, and your cognitive performance can suffer. However, when caffeine blocks adenosine, it biases your system towards a more energetic pathway, leading to increased alertness, improved mood, and better cognitive function. It's essential to note that adenosine levels are at their lowest in the morning, making it the optimal time to consume caffeine if you need an energy boost. But if you consume caffeine later in the day, especially after 2 p.m., it can disrupt the depth and quality of your sleep, leading to an afternoon crash and the need for a second cup of coffee. Optimizing caffeine intake. One way to optimize caffeine intake is to use body weight as a guide for proper dosing. The recommended dose is generally 1-3 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight per setting. This means that someone who weighs 70 kilograms, 154 pounds, should consume between 70 to 110 milligrams of caffeine per serving. This dose is considered safe and is likely to provide all the benefits of caffeine without causing jitters or other negative side effects. The timing of caffeine intake can also be optimized to avoid negative side effects. For example, delaying caffeine intake by 120 minutes after waking up can help avoid the afternoon crash that many people experience. This is because cortisol levels in the body are naturally high in the morning, which can provide a natural energy boost. By delaying caffeine intake, you can avoid the crash that often occurs when cortisol levels drop in the afternoon. It's also important to note that caffeine can have a half-life of up to 6 hours in the body, meaning that it can take a long time to fully metabolize. It's important to avoid consuming caffeine too close to bedtime, as it can interfere with sleep and lead to feelings of restlessness and insomnia. Caffeine myths and when to avoid. It's no wonder that caffeine is such a popular topic of discussion, but with all the chatter comes plenty of myths and misconceptions. So let's set the record straight. First of all, let's talk about osteoporosis. This bone disease is characterized by weak and brittle bones, and there is a persistent myth that caffeine can exacerbate or even cause cause osteoporosis. However, the evidence simply doesn't support this idea. In fact, some studies have actually found that moderate caffeine consumption may have a protective effect on bone density. Of course, as with all things, moderation is key. Excessive caffeine intake could still have negative effects on bone health. Another myth that needs debunking is the idea that caffeine has a direct or indirect impact on estrogen or testosterone. While some people believe that caffeine can increase estrogen levels, there is no strong evidence to support this idea. Similarly, there is no evidence that caffeine has a significant impact on testosterone levels. However, there is one way in which caffeine may interact with sex hormones. Excessive caffeine consumption can increase sex hormone binding. Essentially, this means that caffeine can make it harder for the body to metabolize and eliminate excess hormones, which could potentially lead to imbalances. So, when should you avoid caffeine? For most people, moderate caffeine consumption around 300 milligrams per day is perfectly safe and even beneficial. However, there are some situations in which caffeine should be avoided or limited. For example, if you're pregnant, it's generally recommended that you keep your caffeine intake to under 200 milligrams per day. Additionally, if you have anxiety or sleep disorders, caffeine may exacerbate these conditions and should be avoided. And of course, if you're sensitive to caffeine or simply don't enjoy its effects, there's no need to force yourself to consume it. And that concludes our video for today. We hope you found it as fascinating and informative as we did. Dr. Huberman's insights into the human brain and how it impacts our daily lives are truly eye-opening. If you'd like to learn more about optimal performance, stress management, and other brain states, we highly recommend following Dr. Huberman on social media. You can find him on Instagram and Twitter using the handle Huberman Lab, and on YouTube at the Huberman Lab channel. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching our video. We truly appreciate your support. If you enjoyed the conversation, please give us a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. That way, you'll never miss another episode of our engaging and informative content. See you in the next video.